I grew up in Elmwood, Ohio, a speck on the map where cornfields stretched like endless golden seas under skies that could turn from blue to bruised in a heartbeat. It was the kind of town where Friday nights meant high school football under floodlights, and Sundays were for church potlucks with Jell-O salads that jiggled like guilty secrets. My family fit right in. Dad, a mechanic with grease under his nails that no amount of lava soap could scrub out. Mom, a nurse who smelled like antiseptic and lavender. And me, Jamie Harlan, the golden boy of Elmwood High's track team, gunning for a scholarship that might catapult me out of there before the fields swallowed me whole. Track was my religion. The crack of the starting gun, the burn in my lungs as I chased the horizon. It was the one place where the noise in my head went silent. Coach Theo to the team, but always coach to me, had spotted that fire in me freshman year. He was 35, broad-shouldered with a jaw like carved granite and eyes the color of storm clouds, the kind that could pin you in place with a glance. Divorced 5 years back. No kids. He poured everything into us runners like we were his redemption. "You're not just legs and lungs, Harlan," he'd say, clapping a hand on my shoulder after a killer interval set. "You're a machine. My machine." It made me feel seen, vital, like I mattered beyond the report cards and the straight-A son badge Mom pinned to my chest at every parent-teacher night. That evening in late September, the air crisp with the promise of fall, we'd stayed late for extra work. State qualifiers were looming, and I was chasing a personal best in the 800-meter that kept slipping through my fingers like smoke. The team had cleared out hours ago, leaving just the echo of spikes on the rubber track and the distant hum of semis on I-70. Coach had me doing flexibility drills on the infield grass, the kind that left you feeling exposed, vulnerable. "Loosen up those hips, kid," he'd instructed, kneeling beside me. "Tension's your enemy." His hands guided my leg higher, professional as always, until that moment, that impossible, world-tilting moment, when his touch shifted from coach to something else entirely. I stumbled back, grass staining my shorts, my voice cracking like a 12-year-old's. "Coach? What the hell?" The words hung there, sharp as shattered glass. His face crumpled, not in anger, but in a defeat so profound it hollowed him out right before my eyes. He stood slowly, hands raised like I was a spooked colt.
"Jamie, I'm sorry."
I didn't mean to, but he trailed off, rubbing the back of his neck, the gesture so human it twisted something in my gut. We didn't speak after that. I grabbed my bag and bolted to my beat-up Ford pickup, the engine roaring to life like it could outrun the confusion churning inside me. That night, I lay in bed staring at the water-stained ceiling, replaying the scene. The warmth of his palm, the husk in his voice. Was it pity? A mistake? Or had I imagined the way his eyes had softened, like he was seeing me? Not the runner, not the Harlan kid, but me. The real, messy me I'd buried under layers of denial and small-town expectations. School the next day was a blur of slammed lockers and forced smiles. I dodged coach in the halls, my spikes feeling like lead weights in my locker. But track practice waited for no man's crisis. When the whistle blew at 3:15, there he was, clipboard in hand, calling out splits like nothing had happened. "Harlan, you're drifting wide on the turn. Tighten it up." His voice was steady, but his eyes skipped over me, landing everywhere but where they used to linger with that quiet pride. Leo Ramirez transferred in sophomore year from some inner-city school in Cleveland, all sharp edges and quiet fire. He was Mexican-American, with skin like burnished copper and hair that fell in loose waves he tied back with a bandana during runs. Faster than me in the sprints, but he had this effortless grace in the mid-distance that made coach salivate. "Ramirez, your poetry on that track," Theo had said once, and Leo had just grinned, all teeth and mischief. "Poetry that kicks ass, coach?" Leo and I weren't friends at first. More like wary allies, trading tips on form and fueling up on Gatorade after meets. But that week, with the ghost of coach's touch haunting me, I found myself gravitating toward him. We were cooling down after a brutal fartlek session, jogging laps around the field as the sun dipped low, painting the sky in streaks of orange and purple. "You look like shit, Harlan," Leo said, bumping my shoulder. "What's eating you?" "Girl trouble," I laughed, but it came out hollow. Nah, just head's not in it. We slowed to a walk, the gravel crunching underfoot. Leo stopped, hands on his hips, studying me with those dark, knowing eyes. Bullshit. Spill or I'll make you run suicides till you puke. Something cracked open then, a fissure in the dam I'd built around myself. I told him everything, words tumbling out in a rush. The stretch, the touch, the whisper. Leo listened without interrupting, his face unreadable until I finished. Then he nodded, slow and deliberate. Damn, Jamie, that's heavy. Coach, he's a good guy, but good guys screw up too. Question is, what are you going to do about it? I didn't have an answer, but as we stood there, the world shrinking to just us and the fading light, Leo's hand found my arm. Not like Coach's, tentative and loaded, but steady, grounding. Hey, he said softly, whatever this is, you're not alone in it. His thumb brushed my skin, light as a breath, and for the first time, the knot in my chest loosened. Not all the way, but enough to breathe. The days blurred into a tense rhythm. Practice became a minefield. Coach's pointers laced with an undercurrent I couldn't ignore, his apologies murmured in passing. Jamie, about the other night, I crossed a line. Won't happen again. But his eyes said otherwise, pleading for understanding I wasn't ready to give. I threw myself into runs, pounding the track until my legs screamed, but the confusion festered. Was I angry? Scared? Or, God help me, flattered? I dated girls. Sure. Awkward kisses at homecoming, hands held under bleachers. But this felt different, a current pulling me under, toward depths I'd never charted. Leo became my anchor. We'd linger after practice, stretching on the bleachers, talking about everything and nothing. He was out, had been since middle school, he said, coming clean to his abuela over tamales one Christmas. She cried, then hugged me so tight I thought my ribs would crack. Said love's love, Mijo, no matter the rapper. His stories painted a world beyond Elmwood. Pride parades in Columbus, underground parties in dive bars where boys danced without fear. It's not easy, he'd admit, voice dropping. But hiding? That's the real killer. One rainy Tuesday, we ducked into the equipment shed to escape a downpour. The air thick with the scent of rubber mats and old sweat. Thunder rumbled outside as Leo leaned against a stack of hurdles, water dripping from his hair. You ever think about it? He asked, casual but loaded. What it might be like with a guy. My pulse thundered louder than the storm. All the time lately, the admission hung there electric. Leo stepped closer, close enough I could smell the rain on his skin, mixed with that faint citrus of his shampoo. And, he prompted, his gaze steady, inviting. And it scares the shit out of me. But even as I said it, my hand moved of its own accord, fingers grazing his wrist. He didn't pull away. Instead, he closed the gap, his lips brushing mine. Soft, tentative, tasting of salt and possibility. It wasn't fireworks. It was a quiet ignition, warm and real, chasing away the chill that had settled in my bones. We broke apart, breathless, laughing in that nervous way you do when the world's just tilted on its axis. Okay, Leo said, grinning. That's one way to test the theory. From there, it unfolded like a secret we both guarded fiercely. Stolen moments. A brush of hands in the locker room, texts late at night. Leo's memes cracking me up, my voice notes spilling fears I'd never voiced aloud. He made it feel normal, not some scandal waiting to erupt. We're just two dudes figuring shit out, he'd say. No big deal. But it was a big deal because Coach saw it. The way our eyes met across the track, the synchronized rhythm of our strides during relays. His pointers grew sharper, laced with an edge that cut. Harlan, focus, you're drifting again. And to Leo, Ramirez, save the showboating for the stands. The team whispered, kids always do. But I brushed it off, chalking it up to pre-meet jitters. Then came the betrayal, swift as a sucker punch. It was the night before regionals, the gym alive with pre-race energy. Spikes clacking, pop music blaring from a boombox, parents milling with thermoses of hot chocolate. I was taping my ankles in the corner when Coach pulled me aside, his face ashen. "Jamie, we need to talk. Now." He led me to his office, a cramped space off the coach's lounge stacked with trophies and faded pennants. The door clicked shut, and he paced like a caged animal. "I saw you. With Leo. In the shed." My stomach dropped. "How?" But before I could stammer a denial, he kept going, voice cracking. "I get it, you're young, experimenting. But he's trouble, Jamie. Out and proud? In this town. It'll ruin you before you even start." "Ruin me?" I echoed, heat rising. "What the hell does that mean?" He stopped, eyes pleading. "I care about you. More than you know. That's why I'm telling you. End it. Before someone gets hurt." It was a warning wrapped in desperation, his hand reaching for mine, echoing that first touch, but now it felt like chains. I yanked away. "You don't get to decide this for me. Not after what you did." His face twisted, regret and something darker flashing through. "What I did was honest. Leo, he's playing you. I heard him bragging in the locker room last year. Said he'd convert the straight boys for fun. Don't be a fool." The words landed like blows. Bragging? Converting? It couldn't be true. Leo's gentleness. The way he held me like I was fragile glass. But doubt wormed in, cold and insidious. I stormed out, the gym's cheer feeling like mockery. That night, I confronted Leo in the parking lot. Rain slicking the asphalt. "Is it true?" I demanded, voice shaking. "What Coach said? About you last year?" His eyes widened, then narrowed in hurt. "Jamie, that's bullshit." He twisted it. "I was joking with friends, nothing more." "You believe him over me?" "I don't know what to believe." The shout echoed off the cars. "This whole thing, it's too much. Too fast." Leo stepped back, rain mingling with the sheen on his cheeks. "If you can't trust me, then yeah, it's too much." He walked away, shoulders hunched, leaving me in the downpour, soaked to the bone in regret. Regionals dawned gray and unforgiving. I towed the line for the 800, Leo on the outside lane, our eyes meeting once, wary, wounded, before the gun cracked. I ran like hell was nipping at my heels, legs churning, lungs aflame. But midway, doubt crept in, slowing me like quicksand. Leo surged past, his form poetry indeed crossing first. I stumbled in third. The crowds roared distant thunder. Coach met me at the finish, towel in hand, but I shrugged him off. Save it. Leo was nowhere. Packed up and gone. Rumor had it, hitchhiking back to Cleveland after a blowout with the team captain over distractions. The drive home was silent agony. Dad's radio crooning country ballads about lost love. Mom noticed, of course, moms always do. "Rough race, honey?" Over meatloaf that night, I cracked, the story spilling out in fragments. Coach, Leo, the kiss, the accusation. They listened, faces paling. Then Dad cleared his throat. "Son, this town's got its ways. But you're our boy. We'll figure it." But figuring meant facing. The next week, whispers turned to stares. Notes in my locker, fag runner. Tires slashed on my truck. Coach suspended pending review, his office cleared out overnight. I quit track, the spikes gathering dust, my scholarship dreams crumbling like dry earth. Then, a letter arrived, no return address, postmarked Cleveland. Leo's scrawl. "You were right, it was too fast, but not too real. If you ever want to talk, I'm here. No pressure.
Él.
I folded it into my wallet, a talisman against the isolation. Elmwood felt smaller, suffocating. But in the quiet nights, staring at the fields, I started running again. Not on the track, but the back roads, feet pounding out a new rhythm. One of acceptance, maybe, of possibility. Winter clamped down on Elmwood like a vice, blanketing the fields in snow that muffled everything but the ache in my chest. Christmas lights twinkled from porches, but they felt like taunts, reminders of joy I couldn't touch. School dragged, a gauntlet of averted eyes and half-heard snickers. The track team carried on without me. Their meets splashed across the local paper. Elmwood Hawk soar to sectional Sandstar. Leo's name popped up too, now running for a city league up north, his times shaving seconds off records like he was outrunning his own ghosts. I threw myself into distractions. Helping Dad at the garage, oil changes turning into therapy sessions where he'd grunt advice over wrenches. Life's a busted engine, Jamie. Sometimes you gotta strip it down to fix what's broke. Mom baked pies I force-fed to neighbors, her hugs fierce enough to bruise. But nights were the worst, when the house creaked and my mind replayed the reel. Coach's touch, Leo's kiss, the rain-slicked goodbye. January brought a thaw, literal and otherwise. A package arrived, brown paper, no sender, containing my old spikes, cleaned and oiled, with a note in Theo's precise script. You left these. They're yours. Run with them or don't. Either way, I'm sorry for everything. Take care, kid. I burned it in the backyard fire pit, watching flames lick the words to ash, but kept the shoes. They sat in my closet like a dare. Then fate or karma intervened. Dad's garage landed a contract fixing fleet vehicles for the county rec center, which meant weekend shifts for me. The center was a squat brick building on the edge of town, housing an indoor track that looped like a hamster wheel under buzzing lights. First day, I lugged toolboxes through the lobby, past yoga moms and shrieking kids, into the belly of the place. That's when I saw him. Leo, mid-stride on the track, poncho of sweat flying as he powered through a curve. He didn't notice me at first, lost in his world of motion. I froze, heart jackhammering, until he slowed, spotting the toolbox at my feet. His eyes widened, then softened. Harlan? What the? Part-time gig, I managed, shifting the box like a shield. Dad's shop. He wiped his face with a towel, stepping off the track. Up close, he looked leaner, sharper, like the miles had whittled him down. Cool. How's everything? The question hung, loaded with subtext. Surviving, I said. You? He shrugged, that half-grin flickering. Same. Running keeps the demons at bay. A beat. Then, look, about that letter. I meant it. No hard feelings. But there were feelings, raw and unresolved, bubbling under my skin. Leo, I messed up. Believing Coach, pushing you away. It wasn't right. His gaze dropped, then lifted steady. Yeah, it sucked. But I get it. Small town, big secrets. He glanced around, the track empty, the distant thump of basketballs echoing. Wanna run a lap? For old times. I hesitated, then nodded. Lacing up those cursed spikes felt like reclaiming something stolen. We started slow, side by side, the rubber resilient underfoot. No words at first, just the sync of breaths, the burn building like an old friend. Halfway around, Leo spoke. Coach called me. You know, after regionals. Apologized, said he'd misspoken about that rumor. Sounded wrecked. The revelation hit like a headwind. He what? Why didn't you tell me? Didn't want to drag you back in. Leo's voice softened. But yeah, guy's got issues. Loves you in his way. Wrong way but real. We finished the lap, cooling down with stretches, ironic that, mirroring each other across the track. His presence was easy, unforced, stirring that quiet ignition again. As I packed up tools, he lingered. Hey, there's a coffee shop in Milford, neutral ground. Saturday? No expectations. I said yes before doubt could intervene. Milford was 20 minutes east. A college town with indie bookstores and cafes that didn't blink at rainbow flags in windows. Saturday dawned brittle cold, but the drive warmed me. Radio blasting Springsteen anthems about highways and heartaches. Leo was at a corner table in the beanery, nursing a black coffee, sketchbook open to half-formed drawings of runners in flight. Artist now, I teased, sliding into the seat opposite. Side hustle, he said, flipping it shut. Keeps the hands busy when the legs quit. We talked for hours, about his abuela's new hip, my mom's pie empire, the absurdity of Elmwood's annual corn festival. Laughter came easier, barriers crumbling like frost in sun. Under the table, his knee brushed mine. Accidental? Intentional? And neither of us moved away. When the barista flipped the closed sign, we spilled onto the sidewalk, breath fogging the air. Walk, Leo suggested, nodding toward the river path. We wandered, stones crunching, the Scioto murmuring secrets. Moonlight silvered the water, and in a pocket of quiet, he stopped, turning to me. Jamie, I like you. Not as a teammate or a project. As you, scared or not. The words unlocked something. I closed the distance, our lips meeting. Not tentative this time, but sure, deepening with the weight of months unspoken. His hands framed my face, thumbs tracing jawlines, and for once, the world didn't tilt. It steadied. We kept it quiet, a secret shared in stolen weekends. Runs at the rec center bleeding into late-night drives, windows down, wind-whipping confessions. Leo showed me his sketches, raw, visceral portraits of boys on the edge of becoming. And I shared mine, poetry scraps scribbled in margins, verses about fields and forbidden touches. You're a romantic, Harlan, he'd murmur, head on my shoulder in the cab of my truck, stars pricking the sky. But Elmwood's shadow loomed. Whispers followed me home. Dad fielding calls from folks concerned about my new friends. Mom's bridge club clucked over coffee. And Coach, he resurfaced in February, cleared but transferred to a middle school across the county. A demotion wrapped in administrative leave. I ran into him at the IGA, produce aisle, him fingering apples like they held answers. Jamie. His voice was gravel. You look good. Strong. I gripped the cart, knuckles white. Coach. He glanced around. Empty aisle. Fluorescent hum. Then, I was wrong. About Leo. About a lot. A pause. Heavy. Seeing you too. Gutted me. But you deserve this. Him. Just be careful. This town eats its young. It was absolution or as close as he'd come. I nodded, throat tight. Thanks. For the shoes too. He smiled, faint. Run far, kid. Spring thawed the fields, greening them with promise. Track season ramped up, and though I stayed off the team, I coached informally at the rec. Kids with gangly limbs and wide dreams. Leo joined sometimes, his energy infectious, turning drills into games. One evening, as the sun dipped, painting the track in honeyed light, he pulled me aside. Heard about a summer camp in the Poconos. Queer youth thing. Counselors needed. You in. The idea terrified and thrilled. Leaving Elmwood's grip, diving into a world where love like ours wasn't whispered but shouted. Yeah, I said, pulling him close. All in. But betrayal has a long shadow. Struck in April, vicious and unforeseen. I'd left my phone at the rec, careless, rushing home for Mom's birthday dinner. When I returned, it buzzed with notifications. Texts from unknown numbers, links to a Google Drive folder circulating like wildfire through the school's group chats. Photos. Grainy shots from the river path. Kissing, entangled, time-stamped that moonlit night. Someone had followed us, snapped from the shadows. My blood ran cold. Who? The angle screamed intent, malice. Leo called as I scrolled, voice shaking. Jamie, it's everywhere. My abuela saw, called me crying. What the fuck? I don't know. Panic clawed. Dad burst and then, face thunderous, phone in hand. Son, we need to talk. Now. The dinner table that night was a battlefield. Mom wept silently. Dad paced, quoting Bible verses he'd never leaned on before. This ain't us, Jamie. It's a phase, right? We can fix it, therapy, prayer. It's not a phase, Dad. It's me. The words echoed. Final. Leo texted, pack a bag. Meet at the tracks. We're getting out. I did. Midnight found us in my truck. Bags tossed in the back. Headlights cutting the dark. Where to? I asked. Elmwood shrinking in the rear view. Anywhere but here, Leo said, hand on my thigh. Together. But as we hit the highway, my phone lit up. One last message. From a blocked number. Run all you want, Harlan. Truth catches up. Attached, a screenshot. Coach's email signature. Forwarding the folder to the principal. Betrayal's final twist. Not jealousy now, but a desperate bid to save me, torching everything in the blaze. Tears stung as I floored it. Dawn broke over Indiana corn, and in the light, Leo's profile steady beside me, I found a fragile piece. We'd rebuild scarred, but whole. Interstate 70 unspooled like a lifeline, carrying us east through dawn's pale fingers. Leo dozed against the window, his breathing even, while I gripped the wheel, eyes scanning for phantoms in the mirrors. Elmwood was 2 hours back, but the scandal clung like exhaust fumes. By morning, I'd be the talk of the county, the gay runner poster boy for every sermon and sidebar. My phone, silenced, vibrated phantom buzzes. Voicemails from Mom, pleas laced with love and fear. Dad's curt, call home, son. We aimed for Pittsburgh first. Leo's cousin had a couch, a mechanic's gig waiting. Crash pad till we sort it, he said when he woke, rubbing sleep from his eyes. Then, who knows? Philly? New York? The world's bigger than Ohio. Pittsburgh greeted us with steel-gray skies and the Monongahela's muddy churn. A city of bridges arching like defiant spines. Rico, Leo's cousin, was a burly guy with a beard like a bramble patch and a laugh that boomed through his row house. Mijo's trouble follows him everywhere, he ribbed, clapping my back hard enough to rattle teeth. But you, Harlan? You got that farm boy earnestness. We'll make a city kid outta you yet. The days blurred into a gritty rhythm. Mornings wrenching at Rico's garage. My Elmwood skills translating easy to foreign sedans. Afternoons pounding pavement along the 3 rivers, Leo matching my stride. Evenings we'd collapse on the sagging couch, takeout container steaming, trading stories. He opened up about his dad, gone before Leo could walk, a ghost in faded photos, how running became escape, track his way of outpacing grief. Abuela says I'm like him. Stubborn, chasing horizons. His voice softened. But with you, feels like I've caught one. I shared too the weight of being the good son. The scholarships that now felt like shackles. Coach saw potential in me, but it was always conditional. Like, run faster, be better, and maybe you'd earn love. The confession hung, and Leo's hand found mine, fingers lacing. Screw conditional. This us, it's the real prize. But the past nipped at our heels. News from Elmwood trickled in via guilty scrolls. Coach resigned amid personal matters. The folder traced to his laptop, hacked, leaked, the investigation dragged, but the damage stuck. Mom called weekly, her voice a tightrope of support and strain. Your father's adjusting, honey. Come home when you're ready. Dad's silence spoke volumes. Broken once by a gruff, proud of you, kid. Don't let him break you. Leo landed a barista gig at a queer-owned cafe in the Strip District. All exposed brick and rainbow mugs. Fits you, I teased, sipping overpriced lattes on breaks. There he bloomed, chatting up patrons, sketching orders on napkins, his confidence a beacon. One night, after closing, he dragged me to a drag show in Lawrenceville. Queens lip-syncing Gaga under strobe lights, the crowd a riot of glitter and cheers. This, he yelled over the bass, arm around my waist, is living. I leaned into it, the anonymity a bomb. No stares, no whispers, just bodies moving free. On stage, a performer in fishnets and feathers caught my eye, her strut pure defiance. Later, nursing beers at a dive, Leo grinned. See? World's got room for us weirdos. May brought green shoots to the riverbanks, and with it, decisions. The Poconos camp gig panned out. 2 months as counselors, leading hikes and heart-to-hearts for teens like we'd been. Scared, searching. Fresh start, Leo said, packing duffels. Lakes, woods, no cell service to drag us down. The drive to Pennsylvania was a revelation. Hills rolling like ocean waves, dotted with cabins and wildflowers. Camp Liberty sat nestled in pines, a cluster of Adirondack-style lodges ringing a glassy lake. Director Mara, a no-nonsense dyke with a buzz cut and tattooed arms, sized us up on arrival. You two got that new love glow, use it. These kids need hope, not Hallmark. Our cabin was rustic. Bunks, wood stove, a screened porch overlooking water that lapped like whispers. Days filled with archery and trust falls. Nights around campfires where stories spilled. Coming outs gone wrong, families fractured, dreams deferred. One kid, Tyler, 15 and trembling, latched onto me. Mirroring my old self, all wide eyes and hidden hurts. "How'd you know?" he asked one dusk, skipping stones. "That it's you." I thought of Coach's touch, Leo's kiss. Didn't at first. Took someone brave to show me. Across the fire, Leo caught my eye, flames dancing in his irises. Evenings were ours. Swims in the cooling lake, bodies cutting silk, emerging to towels and tangled limbs on the dock. No rush, no heat, just closeness, his head on my chest, stars wheeling overhead. "Love you, Jamie," he murmured one night, words simple as breath. I echoed them, the sound foreign yet fitting, like a shoe breaking in. But conflict brewed, subtle as storm clouds. Letters from home arrived in batches. Mom's pleas for visits, Dad's halting attempts at bridge building. "Sent your spikes to a pro cleaner. Come run the fields sometime." And then, a bombshell from an old teammate. Coach arrested. Not for the photos, but embezzlement. Skimming booster funds for personal debts, the paper said. The folder? A smoke screen, his desperation leaking sideways. Guilt twisted me. Had I pushed him there, rejecting his honesty? Leo saw it, pulling me close after a midnight confession. "Not your fault." He chose his mess. But doubt lingered, a shadow on our idol. Mid-July, the camp's talent night erupted in joy. Kids belting show tunes. Tyler's poem on unhiding earning roars. Leo and I tag-teamed a goofy skit. Track stars turned Romeo and Juliet, spikes for swords, drawing laughs that healed old wounds. Afterward, Mara pulled us aside. "You two are magic. Ever think about full-time? Youth outreach." The offer dangled, a future sketched in possibility. But as August loomed, reality intruded. Leo's abuela fell ill. Pneumonia, stubborn refusal of hospitals. "Gotta go," he said, packing with quiet urgency. "Family first." "I'll come," I offered, but he shook his head. "Finish strong here. Meet me in Pittsburgh after." The goodbye on the camp road was raw. Kiss fierce, promises whispered. 2 weeks, max. His truck tailed dust down the lane, leaving a hollow in my chest. Alone, the days stretched. I led hikes with mechanical cheer. Tyler's progress a bright spot amid the ache. Letters flew. Leo's updates. Abuela's fighting, cursing in Spanish. Mine, camp tales laced with longing. Then silence. Days turned to a week, then 10. Calls went to voicemail. "Hey, it's me. Everything okay?" Panic set in, irrational but ironclad. Had Elmwood's poison followed? Or worse, had I been the experiment after all, a small-town fling for city lights? Tyler noticed, cornering me by the lake. "You're spiraling, man. Talk." I did, spilling fears. He listened, then, "Love's scary 'cause it's real. Don't borrow trouble." But trouble borrowed me. The 12th day, Rico called. "Leo's gone AWOL, primo. Left a note. Need space. Tell Jamie I'm sorry. Abuela's stable, but he bolted."
No trace.
The world grayed. I drove through the night, Poconos to Pittsburgh, a blur of taillights and tears. Rico's was dark when I arrived, his explanation halting. Leo, overwhelmed, grandma's scare. The scandal's echo, our future's weight. Kids running again. From himself, mostly. Devastation crashed. I trusted, opened, only to be left adrift. Back in Elmwood, swallowing pride, I returned. The fields mocked me, golden and indifferent. Mom enveloped me in hugs. Dad in gruff silences that softened to "missed you, son." I re-enrolled for fall semester, late, scraping credits toward community college. Track? A ghost. I ran solo, roads my confessional. Weeks bled into autumn, leaves carpeting paths in crimson regret. Tyler wrote, "Camp pen pal now. You're brave, Jamie. He'll see that." But Leo didn't call, didn't appear. Betrayal's sting deepened. Not anger, but a profound ache. For the boy who'd cracked me open, then vanished. Then, mid-October, a postcard, Cleveland postmark, Image of Lake Erie under storm skies. Leo's hand. I panicked. Needed to face my own track first. If you're still willing, meet me at the Beanery. November 1st.
No promises.
Just truth.
El.
Heart hammering, I booked the drive. The Beanery hummed that day, hipsters tapping laptops. He was in our old corner, sketchbook open. Not drawings, but a letter, pages worn. Jamie. His voice broke. I screwed up. After Abuela. It hit me. I'm not ready for forever. Not without fixing me first. Tears pricked. So why run? Fear. He slid the sketchbook over. Pages of us. Running, laughing, loving, interspersed with shadows, figures fleeing. You deserve someone whole. You were whole enough for me. The words hung, bridge or break. He reached across, hand trembling. Are you still? I nodded, covering his hand. Yeah, but slow. Real slow. Relief flooded his face. We talked till closing, honest, raw, forging new terms. Friends first, therapy for him, group in Cleveland, visits without pressure. The kiss goodbye was gentle, a question answered soft. Winter returned, but softer now. I ran Elmwood roads with renewed fire, scholarship whispers reviving. Leo's texts steadied. Progress reports, sketches shared. Spring brought reconciliation. Dad at a track meet, cheering horse. Mom meeting Leo over pie, her nod approval. Yet the scar remained, coach's trial loomed. A June date. Subpoena arrived. Witness to the relationship. Courtroom stark. Theo across the aisle. Gaunt in suit. Eyes meeting mine with silent apology. Testimony brief. My stretch, his confession, the photos as fallout. Verdict. Guilty. Probation. Restitution. As he passed, he paused. You turned out better than I dreamed. Thank you. No forgiveness spoken, but release, a weight lifted. Summer found Leo and me at the Poconos again, counselors side by side. Lake waters welcomed. Campfires kindled hopes. One night, under stars, he turned. Ready for the next lap? I smiled, lacing fingers. Together. The Poconos that second summer felt like homecoming. Not the stifling embrace of Elmwood, but a wild, breathing thing. Pines whispering secrets to the wind. Leo and I settled into our roles with ease. The kids sensing our quiet sync like animals to a calm herd. Tyler returned, taller now, his poetry sharper, crediting those two counselors who showed me hidings optional. Evenings on the dock evolved. Swims giving way to lazy floats, backs to the stars. His head pillowed on my chest as crickets chorused. We took it glacial slow, as promised. Hands held during hikes, shoulders brushing in the mess hall. Kisses rationed like rare coins, savored for their worth. Leo dove into therapy via Zoom with a Cleveland group, unpacking his father's absence, the bravado masking abandonment fears. It's like peeling an onion, he'd say, eyes red-rimmed but clear. Layers of crap, but the core? Worth it. I'd listen, then share my own unspoolings. The pressure of perfection. Coach's shadow as both ladder and snare. Home pulled in tugs. Mom drove up once, bearing coolers of pie. For the brave hearts, she'd wink, hugging Leo like a long-lost son. Dad's visit was stiffer. Fly fishing on the lake, rods whipping awkward silences into stories of his own youth. A high school crush on a farmhand, buried under duty. Times were different, he grunted, reeling in a trout. But regret's a bitch. Don't let it hook you. By trip's end, he clapped Leo's shoulder. Keep my boy running straight, metaphorically. Elmwood simmered down, scandal fading to footnote. I enrolled at community college that fall, journalism track, words my new track, commuting with podcasts on queer icons. Baldwin's Fire, Milk's Defiance. Leo transferred credits to Pitt, urban planning major, dreaming of redesigning cities for inclusion. Parks with pride flags etched in paths. Cafes that don't blink at love. Weekends bridged us. Pittsburgh pit stops. His dorm a tangle of textbooks and takeout. My truck idling outside like a getaway car. We'd wander the strip, his hand in mine public now. Bold in anonymity. flinching only at echoes of stairs. One night, post-drag binge, we stumbled into a quiet bar, Jazz murmuring low. "Ask me something real," he challenged, nursing a whiskey sour. "What's your horizon look like?" I asked, tracing his palm. He thought, eyes distant. "You and me building something. A life where fear's just backstory." Then softer. "Marry me? Not now, someday. When we're ready." The word hung, luminous. "Yeah," I breathed. "Someday." Autumn deepened, leaves a carpet of fire. Conflict reared unexpected. Leo's abuela passed, sudden as a snapped thread. Heart gave out mid-tamale rolling. We drove through the night to Cleveland. Funeral a blur of mariachi and murmured prayers. She lay serene, rosary twined in fingers, and Leo broke beside the casket, sobs raw as open wounds. I held him in the vestibule, whispering nonsense. "She's proud, Mijo. Running free now." Grief reshaped him. Sharper edges, quieter joys. But we weathered. Therapy our keel. Back in Pittsburgh, he sketched her portrait. Fierce eyes, apron-dusted flower, a horizon of sunflowers behind. "My anchor," he said, framing it above his bed. Winter holidays tested. Elmwood for me, Christmas with garish lights and Mom's feast. Leo to Rico's, Hanukkah lax and stories swapped. New Year's we met midway, Ohio Turnpike rest stop, confetti from a party popper he'd smuggled. "To us," he toasted with vending machine cocoa. Unbroken. Spring bloomed defiant. I landed an internship at the local paper. Features on overlooked lives. Trans farmers by vets, the quiet revolutions. One piece on coaches' post-scandal life. Now coaching at-risk kids in Akron drew fire and praise. I interviewed him neutral, recorder between us like a referee. "Regrets my teacher," he said, voice steady. "You were mine best lesson. Happy for you, Harlan." The words landed gentle, closure's gift. Publishing it, I felt the last chain snap. Summer circled back to the Poconos, but this time we led, not as green counselors, but program co-heads, Mara retiring the helm. Kids arrived wary, left empowered. Talent nights with original anthems. Hikes ending in truth circles, where shame shed like snakeskin. Tyler, now a junior counselor, pulled me aside post-season. "You and Leo? You're the story they tell. Proof it gets better." Closing night bonfire. Embers spiraling like prayers. Leo and I slipped away to the lake. Water lapped black silk, moon a silver coin. He knelt, not with ring but resolve. Some days creeping closer. "You still in?" "Always." Our kiss sealed it, deep and anchoring, the world vast around us. Fall whisked us to new chapters. Leo graduating Pitt, job offer in Philly, urban design firm, greening forgotten lots. I transferred to Temple, chasing bylines in the city of brotherly love. Moving day was chaos. U-Haul stuffed with books, sketches, spikes retired to a shelf. Our apartment overlooked Rittenhouse Square. Tiny, creaky, ours. First night, unpacking half done, we christened the fire escape with cheap wine. City hum below. Years folded like well-worn pages. Philly embraced us. Pride marches where we marched hand in hand, not hiding. Brunches with found family, queer elders spinning yarns of Stonewall grit. Leo's designs took root. Community gardens blooming in concrete cracks. Benches carved with love wins. My articles won nods, then awards. A series on rural LGBTQ+ resilience. Elmwood's own stories woven in. Betrayals faded to lessons. Coaches a footnote, his letters occasional. Coaching a kid like you again. Grateful. Leo's run, the pivot that brought us truer. We married on a crisp October day. Backyard affair in my parents' field. Mom in tears, Dad toasting, to horizons chased together. Leo in a suit sharp as his sketches. Me in spikes under jeans. Vows exchanged under cornstalk arches. I choose you, every lap. Life isn't linear, no straight track to glory. It's loops and stumbles, fields that flood and skies that clear. But with Leo beside, hand in mine, the run feels endless, electric. Pain was weakness leaving, yeah, but love, That's the strength that stays. And as we cross whatever finish lines come, I know we changed everything. Together.